COVID-19 pandemic has positive and negative impacts on different aspects of lifestyle behaviors. Negative lifestyle behaviors are associated with an increased risk of adverse outcomes from COVID-19. While dealing with COVID, we overlook the fact that people's lifestyles were severely disrupted. Many people have become physically inactive and developed irregular eating patterns, which leads to unhealthier lifestyles and aggravation of lifestyle-related diseases. COVID-19 pandemic has also caused significant changes to homes, working life, and stress. A multi-sectoral approach promoting healthier diets and increasing physical activity can help in slowing down the diabetic epidemic and heart diseases. Beat Diabetes Myths and Facts will impact and help a large number of people to prevent or control metabolic disorders. Today we have with us experts to share with you advice on leading a healthy life. Let me introduce them to you. Dr. Satik Siddhanta, MBBS, MD Medicine, DM Endocrinology, PG Diploma Diabetology, Assistant Professor, Department of Medicine, IPG MER, SSKM Hospital, Kolkata. Dr. Atul Vadgaonkar, MD Medicine, Consultant Physician, Vijay Nursing Hospital, Nashik. And Dr. Anurag Sharma, Director, Ojas Super Speciality Hospital, Panchkula. Thank you so much, doctors, for joining us today. Dr. Satik, I want to start with you here. There was a sudden surge in mucormyosis in cases with COVID-19 and especially in people with uncontrolled blood sugar. What are the other such infections people with diabetes should be worried about?
Well, thanks for your question. Well, diabetes mellitus is an immunocompromised state, and to add to it, COVID infection becomes a double whammy. So, in any immunocompromised state is susceptible to infection and caused by a swarm of microorganisms, be it bacterial, be it viral, be it mycotic or fungal, or even parasitic diseases. And in fact, all the organs of our body may be involved due to infection. So what are the infections? The predominant infections which are relatively common in the diabetic population are urinary tract infections, lower respiratory tract infections, as well as dermatological or skin and mucosal membrane infection. So as a physician or an endocrinologist, our aim of therapy will be to target the glycemic control within the normal range as well as care of infections. Besides this, if there is any immunoprophylaxis like in this weather changes, we can prescribe influenza vaccine or some antibiotics to prevent the occurrence of infections.
Okay, so I think the main thing is to control the sugar levels. Dr. Atul, people who have recovered from a COVID-19 infection have reported higher sugar levels. It is recommended that a patient who has been cured of COVID-19 infection should keep a check on his or her blood sugar regularly.
It is very important that they should keep a regular checkup on their blood sugars. It is mainly because it's the immune modulatory response of the disease which is directly responsible for producing hyperglycemia, and also the drugs that are used in the treatment of COVID, mainly the steroids, they also produce hyperglycemia. So the hyperglycemia in the patients of COVID is very common, and with hyperglycemia, they are tend to develop various types of infections, mainly the bacterial and fungal. And we have already seen how disastrous effect these infections can produce in the life. So it would be very, very important to monitor the blood sugars regularly after the COVID infection, and if there is any difference in the levels, you should immediately take care of them.
Okay, so again, it's the same thing. We need to keep them under control. Dr. Anurag, is a person who has had a history of COVID-19 infection, are they more susceptible to developing heart disease and hypertension?
In patients who have suffered COVID-19, there can be two types of heart involvement. One is the COVID-19 induced direct attack on the muscles, myocardium, that is known as myocarditis, and that is a myocardial inflammation. So this can lead to heart failure in these patients, and it can be a part of the multi-organ dysfunction syndrome. Like in few children in India, it has been seen that there was a virus was attacking these three organs, liver, kidney, and heart. And I also had two patients who had involvement. One 14 years boy, after corona, he became in myocarditis and heart failure, is admitted with us. The second kind of problem with the COVID-19 is that it induces a lot of inflammation in your blood, in your body. So the patients who are old, who are diabetic and who are hypertensive, they're prone to develop clotting in their arteries. So it can lead to a heart attack like situation. And we have seen a lot of patients in the first wave. And the second wave, we have seen less these patients. Second wave more was in the lung involvement. So in the first wave, we had done 2 patients angioplasty. They were very serious. So yes, definitely COVID-19 has changed. You can say slightly the fulcrum about having more cardiac patients.
Dr. Sathik, it is generally believed that a person with a bad lifestyle is more susceptible to diabetes and other chronic conditions. However, can a person with reasonably good lifestyle also have diabetes? And if yes, what could be the probable causes for the same?
Yeah, absolutely true. Actually, diabetes mellitus is caused by a swarm of factors. Modifiable risk factors, that is the lifestyle, as you have said, and the non-modifiable risk factors, which cannot be modified. For example, we Indians by birth are prone to develop diabetes mellitus. Besides this, if increased aging, say above the age of 40 years, we are prone to develop diabetes mellitus. As well as if there is any family history of type 2 diabetes mellitus, so that also increases the susceptibility to develop diabetes mellitus in the long run. So if diabetes mellitus being a asymptomatic disease, each and every patient should be screened for development of diabetes mellitus by fasting plasma glucose and a postprandial plasma glucose and a glycated hemoglobin if your age is above 40. So these non-modifiable risk factors may be the reasons of patients developing diabetes despite adopting a healthy lifestyle.
So along with healthy lifestyle, what is needed is regular screening. Dr. Atul, just want to ask you here, people with diabetes on regular medication may get their sugar levels in control and may, sometimes they assume that diabetes is in remission. Sometimes they do take it very, very casually, they just forget about the diet and also exercise regime. Can you explain how a healthy diet plays an important role in the management of diabetes?
There is nothing like diabetes in remission as long as you are taking the medicines and you are taking the diet well, you are doing the exercise, you will be under control. And as you stop doing that, you will again have hyperglycemia. So you should not take it very casually. Regular exercise and regular diet along with medicines is very, very necessary. A good diet will definitely have adequate quantity of carbohydrates, fats and fibers, and that will prevent you developing hyperglycemia, and in turn it will prevent developing insulin resistance and obesity, and that would be essential in the treatment of diabetes. And that is how diet plays important role in the treatment of diabetes.
Okay, so healthy diet, of course, lifestyle. Dr. Anurag, we've understood about what Dr. Atul was telling us. But can healthy lifestyle such as regular exercise, nutritious diet help to reverse heart disease or even reduce the risk of developing heart disease?
Yes, healthy lifestyle, I think, is one of the key factors which can reverse the atherosclerosis, and it can prevent you from developing bad heart disease or very aggressive atherosclerosis. There are people who have family history of coronary artery disease, and that constitutes the 20% of the risk factors to develop the heart disease. But 80% of the risk factors actually is the lifestyle, is the other things like smoking, your eating habits, how much maybe you are taking non-vegetarian, and how much exercise you are doing. I'm not saying that non-vegetarian alone will cause, but if you're sedentary, if you are not doing any physical activity and only eating mutton and other red meat, then I have seen very young patients suffering from heart attack because they just keep on eating, because they don't do any physical activity, which is part of your lifestyle. And lifestyle means how you eat, how you sleep, how you behave with others. I mean to say lifestyle does not mean that only eating and other things. Lifestyle means how the whole day is you spend, and how much even how much angry you are. If you're very angry is your lifestyle, you can go to suffer more heart attacks. So lifestyle is the key to decrease your risk of future heart attacks. There's no doubt about it.
Dr. Sathik, is only blood sugar control sufficient for the effective management of diabetes? What other factors should also be controlled in people with diabetes?
Nowadays, we have moved on from glucocentric, that is just control of blood sugar, to a holistic, comprehensive management. That is, if you have blood pressure or hypertension, then you should control that. If you have dyslipidemia, that is raised cholesterol levels or decrease in good cholesterol levels, then one should curtail that. One should adopt a healthy lifestyle by maintaining a balanced diet and regular physical exercise. If you are an alcoholic or a tobacco user, you should abstain from using this in future. So we have moved on from glucocentric management to a holistic, comprehensive management of comorbidities for adequate glycemic control.
I think that's a very important point that you brought forward. It's about holistic approach. So on that note, we're going to be taking a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Beat Diabetes Myths and Facts. Dr. Atul, regular physical exercise is a major part of diabetes management. When is the best time to exercise for people with diabetes, and what type of exercises are safe for people with diabetes? And also, what should they keep in mind while exercising?
I think there is nothing best time for exercise. The fact is that you must exercise daily. We recommend exercise on empty stomach, preferably when you get up from the sleep and it is early morning exercise. So if you want to do afterwards, it should be at least 1.5 to 2 hours after the meals. So walking on the plain grounds at least 30 minutes is recommended. If you do aerobic exercises like yoga or both, it is safe. While doing exercise, you must be careful about your injuries to the bones, muscles, and ligaments and joints. So that would you should not produce any injury to the muscles and bones.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we take care. I mean, exercising is important, but we must take care the way we exercise. Dr. Anurag, can you explain the need for long-term use of blood thinners like aspirin? Are these safe, and how does it help in preventing heart attacks? I mean, this is something a lot of people want to know.
See, now there are many trials which have told, because previously people used to believe that after you are 45 years or 50 years, you start taking a baby aspirin and it is going to prevent your future heart attacks, brain strokes. But the truth is that this is not the right thing. The right thing is that if you are not suffering from any coronary artery disease, like you don't have any stents or bypass surgery or any previous silent heart attacks, then you don't take aspirin, because then it is not going to save you from any heart attacks. Rather, it is dangerous. Why? Because it can lead to a bleeding, and it can lead to life-threatening bleeding, GI bleeding. So you're not going to do that. But yes, if you are already having a heart, attack, already having a stents or bypass surgery, then yes, you should not stop your aspirin. So it is the other way around. But just taking a baby aspirin is not going to help you. And second important thing is that aspirin has bad effects in the presence of the GI bleeding. And sometimes in very old patients, it can lead to the brain bleeding also. And it may not protect you from your heart attacks. So this is important, that aspirin should not be taken lightly. It's like a double-edged sword. So you should know when to use this sword.
Dr. Sathik, is a woman with gestational diabetes at increased risk of future diabetes?
Yeah, definitely. For the viewers, gestational diabetes is nothing but pregnancy-induced diabetes. That is, after completion of pregnancy, the blood sugar levels comes back to normal, and the patient may not require any drugs and or insulin. However, the patient gets at a risk, or the risk of developing type 2 diabetes mellitus in future. That is, today's gestational diabetes can be tomorrow's type 2 diabetes mellitus. Hence, all women with gestational diabetes mellitus must undergo regular screening of blood sugar levels to know whether the patient has an impending type 2 diabetes mellitus in her kitty or not.
Okay, so Dr. Atul, what steps can a woman take to better manage gestational diabetes, like we were just explained right now?
See, gestational diabetes is recently increased mainly because of the changing lifestyle of the female, eating junk foods, late nights, and very high calorie fatty foods, and that all leads to obesity and insulin resistance. So if you change your lifestyle, avoid late nights and junk foods, and regular checkup of your sugars, as well as they should check the body weights. So they must keep their body weight in the required range so that they can avoid the gestational diabetes.
So body weight, again, it comes to exercise, right diet, right lifestyle. Dr. Anurag, since we're talking about women, and diabetes, tell us, how does heart disease affect women differently from men?
Usually, it is said that females will have less coronary artery disease or heart failure, but it is true up to their menopause, number one. Number two is that in females, they tend to have, more obesity, more diabetes, and more insulin resistance and diastolic heart failure. Diastolic heart failure means when they have more stiffness of the heart. And this is how they are different than men. And they also, tend to have atypical presentation of their angina. This is one of the, factors where sometimes the female patients are not diagnosed that they are having angina. They will have more like features of gaseous type of features, eructations, and, they will actually tell that it is a burning pain, which is more common presentation in a lady. Suppose an old lady in your home is telling that I have a gas type of feeling, maybe gas or whatever like this. So I think this is the angina symptoms. So you must investigate for angina, because usually these patients are missed. They are just given some injections and all these things, and ultimately sometimes they will come back as a major heart attack. So that is a number one. Presentation is different. Profile is slightly different. They are protected till menopause, but if the lady is diabetic, then this female gender does not protect her for developing coronary artery disease, because diabetes takes away the advantage of being a female as far as the coronary artery disease is concerned. So that is how it is different.
Dr. Sathik, when we talk about lifestyle, we talk about diets, intermittent fasting is something a lot of people have started doing. Do you recommend this for diabetic patients?
Yeah, the intermittent fasting is one of the modalities of weight management recommended by dietitians as well as nutrition experts. So it can be recommended for progressive weight loss. However, one must be motivated to continue, because what is important is maintaining that ideal body weight, which we often forget.
So yeah, it's important. So do you also suggest certain patterns of diets?
One should always adopt a healthy diet, that is a balanced diet.
Sure.
That is, one should that should be full of dark green leafy vegetables and yellow citrus food. One should avoid saturated fatty acid as far as practicable, and stuff themselves with polyunsaturated fatty acids. One should have adequate amount of fluid intake. One should avoid added salt that will increase the risk of hypertension, and one should avoid trans fat as far as practicable.
Okay, since our show is talking about myths and facts, Dr. Atul, I have a question here for you. Many times people have energy drinks. We talk about exercising, workout. What are your thoughts on that for, people who are diabetic? Should they be consuming these energy drinks?
These energy drinks, which contain no proteins, they should be completely avoided, and they are quite dangerous for the health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Atul, Dr. Anurag, and Dr. Sathik for joining us today. So what we've really learned today, that a holistic lifestyle, a holistic approach is important, whether it's exercising the correct way, eating right, and most importantly, keeping our sugar levels in control. Thank you so much for watching.